even if you have fans that are going to your store and they want to buy something, people get overwhelmed. They see a bunch of stuff and they end up purchasing nothing. You've probably done this online too. You probably looked at stores that you regularly buy from and you're like, oh, well, I don't know. For whatever reason, today's just not the day. And you leave. And this happens all the time with sending any kind of customers to any kind of online store.
You are now listening to the Creative Juice podcast brought to you by Entrepreneur.io.
What's up, Indies? Welcome back to the Creative Juice podcast. This is episode 345, and today we're going to be talking all about getting the ball rolling with selling to your fans online. I'm your host, Jack McCarthy. With me, as always, is Circa. Cirque, what's up, dude?
What's up?
I'm excited about this episode, man. This is going to be fun. Something inspired from our community.
Yeah, hold on. I'm going to pull up the video that it's from. I was doing an all-day Q&A like you do. I've been working live, so I've been streaming while working. And so people can pop in and ask questions and stuff. And I'll pull up the one that this episode was inspired by a gentleman who pops into the stream pretty frequently named Ginkgo Biloba. So what Ginkgo had said was, have you seen a band break even without free push shipping and handling funnel? Just a regular merch site and a good ad video. And it jumped out at me, this comment, not the free push shipping and handling part, but just the idea that you could just have a merch site and just send traffic to it with a good ad video, and that would work, or that you'd make sales that way. It brought me all the way back to when I first learned about digital marketing, which is that, like, when I was first getting into it, it did seem unlikely that you could just get customers by just sending traffic to your online store, just having a bevy of products like available. I was skeptical of that kind of inherently or intuitively. But when I found out how people get around that problem, that's when the world opened up for me. And I was like, oh, this is how everything works. I've seen all this stuff. This has worked on me. I bought things this way. And yeah, like, if you just showed me an ad to send me to some online store, like, I'm probably not going to buy anything. But it was an intractable problem. I had no idea how people get through that problem. And it also occurred to me when I saw this comment that, like, there's a lot of people out there who still think that, like, that might work or that's how it's done. So it, became a good fodder for us to talk a little bit about it and kind of approach people at that beginning stage where that's like the only thing that's obvious to you is like, I just use ads to send people to my online store. Is that what I do?
Yeah, and it was really interesting to me when you brought this topic up and we started discussing bringing it to the show, because I think this actually is a pervasive question that goes even beyond people who are just getting started with digital marketing in their music career. There's a lot of people that have questions like this. It's a normal question to ask, and it kind of does provoke taking you down the road of just a foundational understanding of what you can do with digital marketing and how to sort of like clear the path as quickly as possible for yourself to getting the results that you actually want.
Yeah. And you just said, like, it's not just digital marketing. That's true. A lot of businesses, you'll notice local businesses, their primary form of marketing is that they have some signage, whether it be a business card or the side of their van,
a billboard.
And all it has is the name of the company, maybe a photo or a logo, and then a one-liner of what they do, like literally like HVAC services in Orlando or something like that, and a number you can call. And it's just that form of promotion takes the presumption that there are tons of people out there who need your services. They just don't know where to go to get those kinds of services. And all you have to do is make them aware you exist, which is like, there might be some people like that, but it's probably less than 1% of the total available market for your product. And so that kind of to run it to ground or touch ground and bring it back to base here, as we're talking to independent artists, it's like the same thing is true not only for the general public, like there's not just people out there looking for fusion, like hip hop, punk, funk music, like for some kid punk, right? Like, so there's not our ideal customer is not out there just wishing that they knew of a band that made this kind of music. We have to convince them that we can satisfy that need that they do have.
Right.
It takes that relationship building process, but you'll also be shocked to know that even in your own fan base, the fact that that you have an online store is not very motivating. The fact that your products are available is not really a motivator to go buy them, even if I'm a huge fan of you. Like, I'm a huge fan of tons of artists. My Spotify playlist is stacked with artists who are alive today and still doing stuff. And the fact that they have products does not motivate me to go make a purchase.
For sure. And I think that we were talking about this before we started rolling, and we kind of talked about like two modalities of marketing that I think are helpful to kind of set the stage for us to continue to have a conversation about this. The idea of selling stuff online to your people. I might not even say to call them your fans yet. They might not even be your fans.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to go to scale where it's like, I've got a good ad and I'm sending people to my store. You're talking about people most likely at a certain level that they're not your fans yet. They're definitely not your customers yet. They might not even know who you are. And so there's kind of like two parallel pathways that intersect and weave with each other as you kind of go down a marketing journey. And you can think about, and Cirque already started to allude to this a little bit, you can think about the concept of like buyer's journeys or customer journeys, where you have subsets of people who know who you are and they like you and they want to buy from you. And then you have people who they don't even know that they want to like your kind of music. They don't know who you are, let alone they're not ready to buy from you. And so one pathway in marketing is working to build up from people who don't know who you are to a lot of people who have bought from you and will buy from you time and time again, and building up audiences kind of among every stage of that journey so that, you know, you can get to a point where you could run compelling ads to your store to certain types of people and they would go right there and buy. And then the other pathway, kind of like parallel journey for this, is funnels and creating offers that are super good and that are interesting to people and compelling and makes them want to raise their hand and say, yeah, I want to buy that. And usually that is a very specific type of offer, something that motivates people to go buy.
Yeah, people don't buy products from your online store. They buy offers. And that's the important thing to kind of illustrate here is that, like, when you send someone sight unseen to your online store to go select products to put into a cart, we don't know what you're going to like. So why don't you go select all the stuff you like in your size and just go buy it, right? It's a kind of a chasm. It's something that you just cannot get across. Even though I know it's good intention, you want people to select that which speaks to them. But people don't want us. That's work for people. It really is. And I've likened it in the past, and I'll do it again here. You know, if you ever walk into a store in like a mall or something, and the clerks, like maybe there's 2 or 3 people working and they don't even look up from what they're doing that you walked in, and they don't even talk to you. You're just kind of on your own to browse around and buy something from them. Your likelihood of buying in that case is far lower, than if you walked in and immediately someone's like, hey, what brought you in here today? How can I help you? And you say, oh, I'm just browsing around. And they're like, okay, well, you totally can browse around. I won't bother you, but you should know only this week we're doing this. They would go, if you look over here, you see that display stand right there. So we've got these on sale. And the cool thing is we're only doing this week. They're on sale themselves, but if you buy one, you not only get the discount, but we're also throwing in this week. Like, now I'm engaged. Even if I don't want to buy what's at the display stand, there's a friendly person who is like informative. I feel more like I can ask them questions about what I do want, even if I don't want that. It's just a way better experience, and I'm much more likely to buy from that person. There's all types of like little psychology points baked into what someone is supposed to do to greet you when you walk into a retail store. We won't get into all that. It's Jay Abraham type stuff. But yeah, like, just to say that, like, we can all obviously like uncontroversially agree that scenario B is preferable to scenario A, and I'm more likely to buy in scenario.
For sure.
Okay, when you send people to your online store sight unseen, or you expect people to select the offers they want, that's what you're doing. You're not even looking up from the close folding. You're not paying any attention to the customer. You're not really trying to make it an easy process for them.
To hammer this home a little bit, I love telling this story. I've told this plenty of times. I don't know if I've told it on the podcast specifically, but I, about a year ago now, purchased a couch from Raymore and Flanagan.
I know them. They're good people.
I was looking for a couch. Mind you, I actually was at a competitor store right next door at a HomeSense, and I was looking at couches, and I was like, oh, well, there's a Raymore and Flanagan right next door. Let me just go wander over there and also shop. I was looking for a couch, and I'll come back to that in a second, why I keep repeating that. But I was shopping for a couch, and I went into Raymore and Flanagan, and nobody paid any attention to me, probably because I looked like some punk kid wearing shorts in the middle of October and flip-flops, and I looked like I was, a 12-year-old Justin Bieber, and no one wanted to pay attention to me. And so the sales service that I received was definitely not great. I still bought a couch. However, I could have walked right out of there and went right back to HomeSense and bought the other couch that I was looking at there. Now, why I tell this story and how this kind of like mirrors what you were just talking about, Circa, is like, yeah, I wasn't paid any attention to until I sought someone out to say like, hey, I'm looking at this thing. Hey, I'm over here. I'm looking at this thing. I want it. And I didn't get any attention. Now, why I said I was looking so many times and I was shopping specifically is even if you have fans that are going to your store and they want to buy something, people get overwhelmed. They see a bunch of stuff and they end up purchasing nothing. You've probably done this online too. You probably looked at stores that you regularly buy from and you're like, oh, well, I don't know. For whatever reason, today's just not the day. And you leave. And this happens all the time with sending any kind of customers to any kind of online store.
Yeah, it's known as decision fatigue, but it's like well-documented cognitive effect that as options increase, the likelihood that any option is selected decreases almost exponentially. It's a sharp drop-off. So 2 options is better than 3, but the difference between 2 and 3 is only a shred of the difference between 3 and 4, 4 and 5. It's a precipitous fall off. Basically, like, that should explain to you, at least give you like a very intuitive sense that, okay, yeah, probably sending people to the whole host of options available in an online store is not the brightest decision. So where do I send them? What do I advertise? And so you could send them to just one product or 2, but ideally 1. And this is why we talk so much about offers, is because you're limiting the decision fatigue down to 1. And the cool thing about selecting just one product or one offer is you can actually select the one that, based on data, is taken most often, right?
Yep.
You can offer many of them, get data back and say, this one is the best take rate. So I'm just going to make this what is called in e-commerce my hero product.
The hero product, yep.
And so, yeah, and you'll notice like one of the biggest success stories in e-commerce over the last some years is Gymshark. And Gymshark, I'm not completely well-versed on their story, but I would generally presume that they got where they got. I mean, I've heard a few, like I've heard the founder talk about their rise. I would imagine that Facebook ads were a bigger component of their success than they care to detail, because the flashier stuff is influencers. But even influencers, right? You're not you're not equipping an influencer with like 20 of your products and then saying, make a video with all 20 of these products and send people to the online store collections.
Right.
You're giving them one product to highlight. And then a lot of times you are putting special emphasis on this product and saying this product is discounted or this product comes with this bonus. So you're increasing the value of that already high take rate product, because your whole goal is to create customers. Like, it doesn't matter to you. You just want the customer so you can hopefully long-term thinking benefit from the relationship long term. If you treat them right on that first product, even if you lose money, which a lot of e-commerce brands, and I'm sure Gymshark does, they lose money on that hero product in a lot of cases because it's so worth it for them to acquire the customer. In 30 days, they lose money. In a year, they beat every competitor that they have. So it's important to kind of look at those timescales, just to say that, like, I think we can also intuitively agree that one product, the product that just on average does best when put in front of people, is far preferable to giving people like, hey, go browse around and pick some products and check out, right? Because now you actually limit it to yes or no. It's not this and this size plus this, and do I want this too? It's just yes or no. It's a binary decision. It's a lot easier to make, and it's a lot easier to explain, which, like, sales takes a lot of explaining. It takes information. It's hard to gather info or even tell people info about 20, 30, 40 products. It's very easy, or by comparison, it's very easy to tell people about one product or one offer. Because it could, an offer could be comprised of multiple products in a bundle, or is this, you buy this at a discount, you get this free. There can be multiple products in an offer, but explaining one offer is the task. It's not just an easier task. It's the task that builds e-commerce brands, and like anyone transacting online, like they need that hero offer.
Yeah, 100%. And it's interesting, like where you see, and I think this is an interesting point to make about sending people to a store, just to go back to like that general concept. This is why you often see even big brands, when traffic is being sent back, specifically to a store for people to just shop, it usually has some kind of offer language veiled in it as well. It's not typically just shop here. It's usually like, shop here this week only for 25% off. Look at this collection and buy one, get one free, so on and so forth. And so even in those instances where traffic is being purely sent back to a store, it's not really just that.
Yeah.
There's always an offer.
Yeah. I would say, I would even limit it to say that, like, of the smart online sale, like people doing online sales that I've ever seen or known, the only time at which they're sending people to a general offer list approach, like go select stuff, is one, during sort of a sweeping store-wide sale.
Yep.
And two, maybe even one includes two. So one might only be in the case where two is also true, but when it's an existing, well-established customer. Okay. If you're talking to someone who you do not know, who's never bought from you, or even if you like, they know who you are, but they just haven't bought from you. In that case, they are much easier to just walk away and never return. And chances are you paid some cost to get them there. It might not be an obvious cost, like, oh, here's what it costs per click on Google or Facebook ads. It might be a longer term cost that's made up of different, expenses you paid to create content, to nurture them, to do cool stuff for everybody.
Your marketing team. Yeah.
Right. Whatever you did, it eventually arrived them there. And every time you don't convert them into a customer, it's a gigantic waste of resources. Like, not a waste of like, oh man, you missed opportunity. I'm talking like you literally you lit dollar bills on fire.
Right.
That's what I mean. So you need to optimize what happens when they come to the storefront as a new customer. Existing customers, they're not as finicky. They've bought from you in the past, so they have the strength of a good experience. They have the hurdle of commitment and consistency as wind at their back, meaning if I buy ice cream hoodies, chances are I'm going to own 5 ice cream hoodies. I can see they're in eyesight for me right now, right? Once I buy one, I am the kind of dude who buys ice cream hoodies. And so I'm likely to buy more, especially if offers are presented to me or opportunities are presented to me regularly, I'm going to buy them.
Right.
So you sort of once you buy something, you do all this backwards justification. You don't have all these reasons going into a purchasing decision, but certainly once you've paid that cost, your brain gets to work justifying the decision you just made. You don't want to feel like an idiot. And so you're going to say, I did it because of this reason. I did it because of this reason. Also, it's tied into my identity and who I am. I'm this kind of person. So I had to do it, which is like the strongest kind of like backwards justification. Cause it's like, that's who you are. It's intractable. Like you're not going to separate it from your purchasing decision. So yeah, like getting them over that hurdle, it's worth all the money in the world because now you have an ally in convincing someone to be a long-term customer. They're going to help you convince themselves, but you got to get them over that hurdle. And so it is kind of more okay, especially if you have a discount code applied store-wide, to send people to your whole store if they are people who have purchased from you multiple times in the past.
Right.
You can trust them a little bit more to go like browse around, see if there's anything that strikes you.
Yeah, and this is exactly, it goes back to those two paths that I was referring to, is like one is a customer journey or a buyer's journey, an audiences based path. As you build up people that have purchased from you before, you have more opportunities to do exactly that. And you have more opportunities to do that well in a way that works versus, just taking a swing at anyone who might meander their way to your store and probably not buy.
Yeah. Example we started with, he was like, versus running sending people to my online store with a good ad video. Okay. Now let's break that down. Like, just try to get an intuitive, like math based understanding of what we're talking about. If people clicked on your ad to go to your online store, then what is our 100% of people who end up there through that method? They're comprised of people who found your ad inoffensive enough and enjoyed your video enough to click the button. Okay. Now within that 100%, what percent do we think is ready to buy something from you, motivated to buy something from you, and willing to go through the decision fatigue and the friction of browsing around your probably ill-formed online store? Let's be honest, like, we're not all like Shopify developers, right? Like, it's not going to be the greatest experience they've ever had. Online stores are generally cumbersome. Shopify is not a great sales page builder. It's not going to be very informative. So like, who in this 100%, what percent is the subset that is like going to go through all that so motivated that they're actually going to go buy? If not zero, we can probably presume it's less than 1%, right? Like, yeah, like not all people who like your ad video are going to go through all that. So how can we increase it? Well, we can remove the decision fatigue. So all the people who would have fell off of the 100% to get down to the 1%, we can rescue some of them. We can remove the decision fatigue and just say, hey, it's just one product. Do you want this, or yes or no? So now all the people who are going to get intimidated by all the products and having to browse around, they don't have to do that anymore. We have one product. All the people who weren't going to do the research to figure out what these products are and what they include and all that stuff and their price and whether you have their size, they're rescued. So now we've rescued a whole bunch of people. How can we rescue more? Well, we can make that one product you're showing them more valuable. So we can provide arguments, we can provide discounts, we can provide bonuses, we can up the value. But what about, there's probably still some people who are worried, and I'll give you an example, right? Let's say the one product we show them is a $100 bill and it costs $10, right? We've kind of flooded out. We've flushed out everyone who's like, there's a problem with the product, right? There's no product problems anymore. You're buying $90 for free, right? So that's not the problem. The only people remaining is people who might not trust you. They don't actually believe they're going to get $100. So how do we get back some of them? Well, we could offer guarantees. We could offer testimonials, social proof, other people who have taken this offer and they show them with the 100. I got it. I have my $100. It only cost me $10. I couldn't believe this was even real. We can provide, Trustpilot and reviews and authority. We can show, Busta Rhymes holding the $100. I mean, like, I got my $100, right?
Yep.
We could do all of that stuff. And that's going to lower the amount of people who truly don't believe they're going to get it. And that's also stuff you should include with your one offer. So like you can think from first principles, think in the limit to get yourself back to what you intuitively should be doing. It's kind of cool. Like you can use these extreme examples to kind of reverse engineer what all of the digital marketing and marketing in general hacks are.
For sure. Yeah. And it's kind of an easy way to shortcut yourself into thinking about smoothing the process out for your potential customers as much as possible, and it kind of forces you to shine a light on all of the areas where someone might give themselves a reason not to buy so that you can give them a reason to buy. And all that is is creating an offer. So all of this offer mumbo jumbo that Circa and I have been talking about up until this point, it's really just like, what do I say and what do I add to this product that I want to sell? How do I package this up nicely into something that someone would be, if they were reading about it, they would just be like, oh yeah, well, this is definitely a no-brainer for me to take you up on.
Yeah, it's literally, Hormozy said an offer so good, you'd feel stupid not to take it. Yeah, you feel pretty stupid not to take $100 for $10, right?
Especially if Busta Rhymes is,
Busta Rhymes co-signed it, dude. Like,
yeah,
of course, you feel like an idiot. I could have made $90 for literally no reason today, and I didn't. Like, you feel pretty stupid. So now, of course, you're not going to offer $100 for $10, but we don't have to. There, we got two extremes. We have full price product buried among 50 other products in a difficult to navigate online store that nobody was asking for in the first place. That's your one extreme. And then we have $100 for the price of $10. That's the other extreme. And you can be anywhere in the middle. Right? Yeah. You don't have to go to one or the other. You could be in the middle and do way better than the bad extreme. On top of that, the last population of people that you got to worry about in this 100% is people who clicked your ad because they liked this good ad video, but then like they were not anticipating whatsoever to then have to buy something, right? So they weren't at all anticipating that. And they didn't want anything, and they're actually kind of grossed out that like this is what's being asked of them now that they clicked on your ad. How can we cut down on that amount? We can make sure they never click in the first place. We can be very upfront in the copy on the ad about what the clicking it will do. Like, what am I clicking this for, right? We can be very upfront about that, and we can tie and talk about the offer to the ad. In the ad, we can talk about it. Typically, we don't do this. We use performance videos and let the copy do the talking, the text. But there's totally a bunch of options to ensure. And this is something Jack and I learned running ads for Entrepreneur way back. Because like the first thing you learn in DM is sort of all the roundabout ways to get around to eventually making an offer. Have them opt in for something for free, help them, show them you can help them by actually helping them first, and then an offer for paid. But we eventually learned the dark arts of selling full price products in the ad feed. And one thing that really helped out in that journey, I think you'll remember, Jack, is when we just started putting the price in the ad copy.
Yep.
This is the price. This is what you would be buying. Everything up front. Don't even click on it if you don't want it. And our numbers shot up dramatically. There are other ways to cut down on this population. And pretty much everything you would learn about digital marketing is this act of cutting down on the people who won't take it. It's a filtering process.
Yeah, we've been talking about this quite a bit over the last few episodes too. So this was a really great question, and I think like exploratory for us just to get to shoot the shit about again, because we don't always get to bring it back to like fundamentals and storytelling around marketing, and really just kind of, again, like paving the paths that you can take. It's a really good exercise both to explore for the first time, but also to remind yourself of, because a lot of artists have asked me questions that orbit around this over the years. And it kind of always, even seasoned artists who are just like, well, what do you think about just, running some ads for the store, man?
Yeah.
And my answer is always like, well, why do you want to do that? And they're like, well, I think we should be able to.
Yeah.
And my answer to this, and maybe this is just a helpful sort of way to cap off the episode, is like, if any of this sounds difficult or hard, coming up with offers and figuring out the right way to talk about them and the right presentation of videos or images to connect the audience to the words on the screen that they're reading and the page that they get to when it comes time for them to buy a thing, if any of that sounds hard compared to just sending people to a store, you're right. It is hard.
Yeah.
But the rewards that you will reap by doing the work massively overshadow taking the quote unquote easier route, which actually isn't really that easy. It's just kind of spinning your wheels.
I was going to say, like, setting up an online store, inventorying, or just setting up print on demand for a library of products, like, and then not selling it all. I wouldn't trade that. That sounds really hard.
Yeah.
It sucks. dude. So I don't find it that hard by comparison. It is like, it's not zero time for zero effort. It's hard in that sense, but hard's kind of a relative term. And then just like we justify purchasing decisions after we actually make them, we come up with narratives for how we feel and what our experience of things is after they've already happened, or, in the moment. And they're not real. Like, they're narratives that we tell ourselves. So if I'm sitting here and I'm writing, today I had to write a video sales letter for our upcoming Black Friday promotion, and I'm sitting there grinding through it. And it's like, for things in the past that I've thought were hard and things that I found really easy, this is the same as both. It's just about how do I choose to feel about it, right? I would put it to you that, like, a lot of the things you do are way harder because they don't actually give you that carrot to follow of an actual result, right? There's no result to be had, and not getting results out of doing effort is hard in the sense that, like, you can't recategorize that as enjoyable. You can't come up with a narrative that's, like, logically consistent to say, oh, this was sick. I fucking did all this work and I didn't get anything for it. Like, it's hard to justify that. So I'll say that. And then I'll also say that, this stuff is the fact that there are people out there who might presume that, like, oh, I could just send people to an online store and that should work. Like, hopefully we've shown a few people listening to this or turned on a few marketing nerds, right? Because it's like, the way we think about it is much less about the sales, and it's much more in these cool little scenarios in which we're cutting down on the amount of people who will not take it. We're thinking about all the people and what their objections would be. We're thinking about sort of what the right sequence of things is. It's a lot of the same cognitive processes involved in making a great song.
Yeah.
Which is that, like, hey man, I think based on my listen through of this, at this point, I think I'm going to get bored. I think I'm going to get bored of this pattern. I don't think that people are going to want to continue to listen beyond this point unless we change it up, unless we give them something interesting to grab onto. Or, I find this phrasing to be a little bit clunky. I don't think that's going to come off, right? These are all the same things that you, like, think about when you're writing a sales letter or creating, like, a funnel or something like that. You're thinking about how other people are going to react, or how the average person in aggregate is going to react.
Yeah, dude. It's so true. The harmony is going to kick in here.
Yeah.
We're going to jump up an octave to the chorus. Like, all of that.
Yeah, designing a good sales argument is a lot like that. It's like building that tension and then pushing it over the top. And a lot, like, you're not, like, as an artist, you're probably not going to get into intense sales letter writing and, like, copywriting as much as someone who has to, like, sell products in a regular sense, like a traditional business. But you will learn some of it, and certainly in not so much in the sales copywriting, but in the sequencing of everything, in the, okay, I'm going to do, like, this sales promotion this part of the year. Then we're going to release this album and it's going to have these products. And then we're going to top it all off with this Black Friday sale, or someone's going to find my music through this way or one of these pathways. Then I'm going to give them a free experience. So they're going to get tons of cool stuff for free via email. And I'm going to cap it off with this can't resist offer. It's all kind of the same feeling designing it. And so, yeah, I just wanted to, like, really spend this episode to clarify for people, like, maybe you're like me and you're initially skeptical already that sending traffic to a store is not going to work. Maybe you're not. Maybe you're skeptical of marketing in general because you don't understand what, someone would get paid to market when you can just send traffic to an online store. It's that easy, right? And so, like, hopefully this sheds some light on that and makes you aware of all the very real, intuitive, easy to understand problems with sending a bunch of people sight unseen to an online store. Why it doesn't work, why marketing is an art, the different things we have to think about, the different people we have to account for. There's a lot of artistic and human behavioral stuff in there. And it's fun. It's fun to figure out.
Yeah, definitely. I hope you guys enjoyed this. This was a really fun episode. Cirque, thanks for bringing the topic and the great question from the Indie Pro community.
Thank you, Ginkgo. Shouts Ginkgo.
Thanks so much, Ginkgo. Hey, and if you guys aren't inside of Indie Pro and you want to join us and hang out with Cirque on live streams more often and ask him questions about music marketing based on things you might hear from us on the podcast and ask if they apply to you, join us inside of Indie Pro. We'd love to have you.
let me actually, because I just got done writing a sales letter for this. You can say stuff to like sell products, and maybe it's not like you're that excited as you said it, right? Or maybe you're not like that, like incredulous that like, you know, this offer even exists. Like maybe you're hyping that up a little bit, but I am genuinely, and I mean 100%, when I go over it and I look at all the stuff that you have for Indie Pro, I'm shocked. Like, I'm like, wow, we really put so much in here. It's nuts what you get as an Indie Pro Plus member, especially because you can replace like essentially hundreds to thousands of dollars in cost for marketing tech, like your website builder, your email marketing platform, your automations like Zapier, your funnel builder, your online store, your shipping and fulfillment. All of that can add up to like hundreds, if not thousands of dollars a year in costs, free with Indie Pro Plus. And then you get everything that's in Indie Pro, which is not like an insane amount of stuff. And then on top of that, just this last year, we added a bunch of features to Indie Pro Plus that by themselves, like most music tech companies would charge like $20 a month or some shit for, right? But they just added for free. Like no one said, you're gonna get these. We didn't promise them. We just were like, this would be cool. And we added it on.
We didn't even conceive of them.
Right. Yeah. So like literally people will ask us like, man, I wish I could do this. And we're like, I think I know how to do that. And we'll go figure it out and I'll type away and then we'll release it for free. So it's like, man, just the stuff that we released in the last year is something you can sell as a product, much less all the stuff we have planned in our development roadmap for the next year, which is like almost a whole new product. Like when I think about it, it's just nuts. So I cannot emphasize to you enough, if you're not in Indie Pro, jump in for monthly to check it out. Sure. Or if you've been in monthly before and you like the cut of our jib, go check out the CRM, like jump in Indie Pro Plus, because you just get so insanely much at such an insanely low cost. There's none of our competitors, no one in this space like offers even a shred of what we're offering at the same price. So yeah, I just wanted to really just hammer it home because it's kind of nuts. Like when I'm forced face to face with it and I have to look at the list, I'm like, Jesus, like how do people not own this already?
It's evident that you were script writing before we recorded this episode.
Yeah.
Listen to our guy. He's so fired up.
Yeah, dude, I really am. Like, it's wild. I'll be on live and people will be like, man, how do I do this and this? And I'll just be like, what do you know about Indie Pro Plus and the CRM? And they're like, no, what's going on there? And I tell them about it and they're like, wait, what? I get that for annual and it's less than monthly? And I'm like, yes, dude. And it's like, man, I don't talk about it enough. We don't talk about it on the podcast enough. Maybe you didn't know, but like, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So join us. All of that said, join us if you're not in Indie Pro. We'd love to have you. And we'll see you guys next time on Creative Juice. Go sell some stuff.
Sell some stuff.
Peace out, Indies.